Welcome to Living Waters channel. Please kindly subscribe to our channel for more gospel content. God bless you.
The Bible was talking to us how that God disguised himself as a man and he was walking through Mamre, and he said Abraham sat at the gate. Meanwhile, that's a posture of prayer. He sat at the gate because he was legislating over the territory, and even though God disguised himself, the man knew God too well. God couldn't hide from him anymore, and he said, "Sirs, please come." He said, "No, we won't come." He said, "Please come." And he brought them and made a feast for them. When they were going, seeing that Abraham causes men to walk in righteousness, how can I hide something from that man? So there are men that God becomes vulnerable with. Those are the kind of men that have decided to put self away, and they begin to live only to please that which concerns God. And one of the things that is prime in God's priorities is to turn men to righteousness. This was Abraham's predisposition, to cause everybody around him to walk in righteousness. God said, because Abraham is like this, I can't hide anything. Even if I wanted to, I can't. So God told Abraham, I'm going to Sodom to destroy it. And Abraham entered his office again as an intercessor. And he began to plead with God. Let my Lord not be angry with me. You know, sometimes when we pray for long, you will discover that we are praying prayers that is bigger than give me. Those of us who carry shopping lists to God, after 10 minutes, I assure you, you'll be exhausted. But those who pray the burdens of God, the more you pray, the more you want to pray. Because you are praying from another economy. Let my Lord not be angry with me. What if you find 50 righteous men? And God turned to him and said, if I find 50 righteous men, I will spare the city. And God was going again. And he said, oh, this one more time, let me speak before the God of heaven. What if you find 40 righteous men? And Abraham prayed until he reached 10. He thought Lot had learned something. He didn't know that when Lot was with him, Lot was learning how to rear cattle and cattle alone. He thought that by all means, Lot will have at least 10 people who are righteous. But Lot didn't learn what matters the most. You know, the reason Lot separated from Abraham is because their headsmen were quarreling. He has mastered the business. He knows how to trade and to invest. He knows what to do to win. He went to Sodom, and when darkness came, when evil came, when judgment came, it was shown that Lot knew nothing. His years of training was a waste, because all he learned was how to make money. See, if you deal with God, there are three realms. The first realm of your dealing with God is the realm of receiving. The second realm of your dealing with God is the realm of the application of the principles of the kingdom. So you are not necessarily asking God, give me. You know what to do to get. That's where Lot stopped. The third realm of dealing with God is beyond asking, is beyond principles, is intimacy. That's the realm of life, to know him. And Lot didn't reach there. So Lot thought it was just about succeeding, and he mastered it. Did you read Luke chapter 16? The guy applied all the purity correctly, and it's beautiful. I encourage you to know it, because in this life, everyone who is great is a better tool in the hand of God. But the problem with him is that he only applied principles. He didn't know God. And when his barn was full, he said, now will my soul rest? And God looked from heaven and said, you fool. That means the definition of a fool is not necessarily a non-entity. It's a man that lives without God. The Bible says a fool says in his heart, there's no God. He had applied the principle, but he had no relationship with God. And he said, you fool. That was the realm Lot was walking in. He was about cattle and sheep, and he gathered them everywhere. But when he went to a city, he didn't know that there is an interaction you have with God in order to gatekeep a city. Abraham kept Bethel, but Lot could not keep Sodom and Gomorrah. And the day Sodom was to be destroyed, Lot had not raised 10 righteous men. He had 1,000 cattle. Do you see why many times death just comes into a family and picks somebody, and then we come say, God, why? What do you mean, God, why? If there are no gatekeepers, darkness will come. He said there is an evil day. When that evil day comes, it's not because God is not strong, it's because your strength is little. Because there's a realm you get to that God waits upon you. He is looking for salts of the earth and the lights of the world. Only those who can labor in the spirit can get there. Most of the questions we ask God are the questions He's asking us. The problem is that we are deaf. God, why? When you were supposed to keep the gates, you are pursuing things. And the prince of darkness comes with wickedness. And you are thinking God will show up all of a sudden. He's not an ATM machine. He's a being. And so God entered Sodom. There were no 10 righteous men. Then what are you doing in Sodom? You have been in Sodom for many years. What are you doing? Meanwhile, Abraham, who was keeping the altar, was growing bigger and bigger. Because promotion does not come from the east. It does not come from the north, the south, nor the west. It cometh from the Lord. The strategy you need to excel in your job is a wisdom that comes from God. The favor you need is a wisdom that comes from God. In addition to all you do, there must be a realm of intimacy. That was what Abraham knew. And the day God was passing, Abraham was at the gate. He said he was in Mamre. He was praying. And it was not just about time. Because of this life that Abraham lived, in Matthew chapter 8 verse 11, God now made us understand that when men leave earth, they have thrones in heaven. He said men will come from the east and the west, and they will sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. So there is a way to live your life to be relevant both in time and eternity. There are many people today who are living relevantly on earth, but they have no stake with God. He says such men, their designation in the spirit is fools. But men like Abraham, that in addition to the principles, prosperity, management, leadership, in addition to all of that, have a relationship with God. He said in the kingdom to come, these are mighty. Jesus was speaking in Revelation 2:26. He said he will give unto them nations, because it doesn't end in time. Nations will be given to men. This is where true Christianity begins. It's not just to be on earth. I tell you the truth, the mercy of God that is put on earth as a residual grace is enough to make you prosper. That's why Bill Gates doesn't need to pray to God to prosper. That's why Dangote doesn't need Jesus to prosper. If all we seek God for is what we can get, then we are joking. There are men who have never been sick until they grew old. Go to the Middle East. You see Chinese men who are 100 years old. Because of exercise and good diet, they have never fallen sick. At 100, they are still walking without walking stick. You don't need God for many things, because His grace has ensured it. But there are things that you must need God for. And one of it is the labor of turning men to righteousness. These are the things we never do. The ones that without the direct input of God we will still have are the ones we labor for night and day. How come we've not heard the stories of eternity? How come we've not heard of the judgment of the ages to come? When Paul was speaking to Felix, he said he reasoned with him about matters of conscience and the judgments to come. Because time, a day will come, it will be rolled away like a canopy. In that day, where will you stand? What will you travel into eternity with? When God summons men to turn men into righteousness, He's showing us the path to eternal relevance. Because everything we do on earth may end, but there are things we do on the earth that will travel with us into the world to come. One of it is to turn men into righteousness. No wonder in Daniel chapter 12 verse 3, he said, they that be wise, he said, they will shine like the brightness of the heavens. He said, and they that turn many to righteousness, not they that traded well and succeeded. Is there anything wrong with it? No. He said, my kingdom through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad. We need to learn all the principles and apply it. But in addition to it, he said, they that turn many to righteousness, they shall shine like stars forever. If you crossed over to eternity today, what will you look like? I know on earth you are dazzling. On earth you are shining with diamonds. But when you cross over to eternity, are you sure there will be any star or any glare around you? God gives us the leakage this morning. He said, they that turn many to righteousness. He didn't end only with Abraham. Even in the New Testament, in Acts chapter 15 verse 26, the Bible was speaking about Paul. He said Paul and Barnabas, they were so dogged that they didn't just preach casually. He said they hazarded their lives for the gospel. They hazarded. They knew this thing to a point that even when their life was at risk, they gave themselves for it. What others hazarded their lives for, we need to be encouraged and begged. Oh, where will we stand in eternity? He said, when the road is caught up yonder, when the road is caught up yonder, when the road is caught up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. It's not about the man on the altar. Jesus didn't send the apostle and prophet to preach. He sent all believers. He said to all of them, go into all the worlds and disciple all nations. Because the plan I have in heaven is not just for apostles and prophets. It's for every believer. How come? How come that there are no souls attached to us? It's because we have not known how eternity works. He said Paul and Barnabas, they didn't just believe it. He said they did it to a point where even though their life was at risk, they went forward. And when Paul came to the end of his life, he said, I have fought a good fight. I have kept the faith. He said, there remaineth for me a crown of life. How dare you determine your reward? Why other Christians are hoping, will I be saved? They are arguing in theological seminaries. Once saved, always saved. There is a man who has gone past theological argument. He is not just talking about salvation. He can tell you that he has a crown in eternity. How come you live your life as if earth is the end?